thanks God there's comedy.
Thank you.
Comedy God, thank you.
He's just like masturbating and jizzing on our faces.
Why is not a good girl?
I'm sorry, I'm sexist. Okay, she's masturbating too, and she's squirting on our faces.
Maybe it's non-binary.
Exactly. I think this God has like all of the things.
Yeah.
Like booby, like lots of boobs, penises, holes, butt. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Comedy God.
Oh, can start.
We can
Exciting. Hey, this is It's Mental Podcast. Today we have our special guest, Beros.
Thank you, Moni. I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, me too. I'm very happy to be here too.
Thank God for therapy.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Moni and I know each other because I also do stand-up comedy. I produce a few shows. I've got my own podcast as well called Adults Only Comedy Berlin, which is obviously all filthy and adults only related material. And then what else can I tell you? Yeah,
Where are you from?
Where are you? Yeah, like that stuff. The stuff about my history. So I'm from Australia, but I was born in New Zealand, so I like to dissociate myself a bit from Australia because they didn't accept me, and so they made fun of my New Zealand accent, and so and also so I left Australia 5 years ago and moved to Berlin.
What made you to move to Berlin?
I studied at university Japanese and Italian, and so I always wanted to leave Australia. That was the plan. And then I got married, and then I left my husband, and it was like, now's the time to leave Australia. and I was going to move to Italy, and then I visited my friend in Berlin. I'd already been to Berlin once before, and I just was like, this place, like I just met all these people that were so interesting, and the energy was really like, be whoever you want to be, and that is exactly what I needed. And so I moved here to make music, and because the live music scene doesn't really exist unless it's electronic, I ended up hanging out with comedians, and so I started doing stand-up comedy.
Wow.
And that was 3 years ago.
I didn't know you are a musician too.
Like a bad one, like like I sing, and then I play the bass, like self-taught, and then I play the drums.
Cool. Maybe you can do music comedy one day.
Yeah, that's I've got a band with a friend, and our songs have some humor in them. Yeah, but like musical comedy, I'd probably prefer to keep it separate. But I wouldn't be averse to like playing drums on like Fred Armisen style. No, I think I'll keep it separate.
For now.
Who knows what the future holds? Maybe there'll be like another pandemic that makes everyone need to hear everything in song.
I lost myself.
Yeah, that's because why we're in Berlin. Oh, because of my beauty. No.
We also do a show together.
We do, called Hairy Bitches. Why is it called Hairy Bitches?
Because we don't shave.
Because we don't shave. You're a liar though. Like you do.
I don't.
You've stopped completely?
Yeah, it's very hairy down here. Here I shave.
Alright, so you do
but
shave?
But not legs.
But not legs.
And
but
also
the pits. You shave the pits.
Yeah, I shave here.
I've got mahogany pits now. Like the color of my hair is kind of like this orangey thing now. My grandma is coming out through my hair. My armpits are the same. Wow. Like I've got like my grandma's armpits.
My boyfriend really likes my pubic hair because it's like really warm and hairy.
And it's soft. Like when you grow it out, when you don't cut it at all, and if it's just like the pure thing, it's so soft. I really like it's long. It's really long. Yeah. But it's soft. But yeah, my legs, yeah, and it's Hairy Bitches because it's about smashing shame. And so Kate Checker, you and I,
Kate was also on this podcast. I will put a link here.
Ding ding. Kate, check her. Check her out.
Check her out.
And squeeze her breast.
Today I actually...
With consent.
With consent.
Yeah.
Ask her first.
Always.
She'll say yes. Because she doesn't have. Anyway.
She doesn't have
Boobs.
She does.
Yeah, sure.
Coming from big boobs over here. I don't have big boobs either. I'm not that guy either. Yeah. She's got boobs.
Yeah.
She's got boobs as big
Really?
as bigger than mine.
Oh, okay.
Mine doesn't take much. I know.
Uh,
I love how we're talking about Kate's boob size.
yeah, I met Kate 2-3 times after she shoot your podcast, and every time she's on period. She's always on period.
She's always bleeding. Yeah, she's always masturbating when she's bleeding.
Yeah.
No, she's always bleeding when she's masturbating. She's always bleeding when she hooks up with a guy. All her stories are just
She's on
red.
period.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's come back to this episode.
Hairy bitches, check us out.
Yeah, smash the shame.
Smash the shit.
Today I actually watched a video about some science working on depression topic. He said actually just to acknowledge the disease and tell them it's okay. Once the shame is gone, like once they acknowledge, make them feel they don't have to feel shamed about it. Lots of symptoms are lifted.
Yeah.
So just being able to talk about it without shame is already a huge help on depression itself.
Yeah, it's removing stigma and like, yeah, there's such a pressure that society used to put and still puts in different cultures and like family cultures and whatever. But yeah, that pressure to not acknowledge that you're not okay is this whole extra layer to the problems that are making you feel bad. It's like, it's just this compound thing.
Yeah.
And I was quite lucky. Go straight into my history. I was quite lucky. My mum studied psychotherapy.
Wow.
Because when she left my father, she and my father separated. She left him. She started a relationship, and no, actually, it was because my brother was in a very bad mental state after the divorce, and so bad. He was seeing a therapist, and then the counselor said that my mum should see a therapist.
Oh, okay.
And so then my mum started seeing a therapist, and then she started studying psychotherapy. And because of that, I then started seeing a therapist because my mum sent me to see a therapist because I was 15 and I was dating a pedophile. Basically, he was 24 years old. And so I started, and so just growing up in a culture, my family culture of go to a therapist, talk about your problems, being not okay is part of life.
Yeah.
Already changes how how you're able to heal. Just having that openness.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that. And then all the therapists that I had over the years.
Cool.
But I haven't seen a therapist. This is the longest I haven't seen a therapist for since I moved to Berlin.
Are you looking for one?
No. And I think if everyone could see a therapist, that's a good thing. But I also feel like I have developed a lot of processes in my history of therapy. And those are resources that help. So like I've kept a journal. I write in a journal. And I've done that since I was really young, like since when I was 6, which is just crazy, like whatever. But like from when I was seeing a psychotherapist, I was journaling. And then also the psychotherapy that I did, another method of sort of self help is tapping. Is this there's these like lines in your body of energy, and if you if you tap on these areas, then and you say something to yourself. So there's like a little structure that you use, and you go through this process of tapping different parts of your body. You're able to soothe your pain and remind yourself that you love and respect yourself, and it's okay that you're having this problem. So like journaling and tapping, and then since I've been in Berlin, Buddhism has really become a Buddhist practice. So meditation and the way of understanding the world through sort of Buddhist practices. I really try to not describe it as a religion or beliefs. It's like the practices. With all those things, I feel like I am able to deal with my problems and I don't want to. I don't know. I'm not against seeing a therapist. I feel like I have resources at the moment, and I don't feel like and I've always gone back to a therapist when I feel I can't manage, and that's fine. But I don't feel like that right
Maybe
now.
that's why every time you go back to see a therapist, you cannot manage because you didn't start earlier. Then it reached to the point you cannot manage anymore.
Say that again. What do you mean?
Maybe the reason why every time you see a therapist is when you cannot manage. The reason is probably because until you reach to that point, you refuse to do it. So
no, I've always been happy to go to a therapist.
Okay.
Like it's not there's not a resistance in me. It's more like I will be like, I need help. So I went back to it. So when I was 17, I saw a therapist till I was 18. Then when my first boyfriend, like love of my first love, when he tried to commit suicide when I left him, I was like, I needed help. I really needed help. And it was, thank God I had the help. And then several years later, like 4 years later, I was just feeling so overwhelmed with my love life and where I was going direction-wise. I went to another therapist, and then when I needed to leave my ex-husband, I went to a therapist. And so, like, it's when I feel like I can't manage things myself. But I guess for the last 5 years, I've had some pretty big. I think Buddhism's really helped me change my perspective on things, and then like I've got all these other sort of tools that I use, and yeah, I don't feel overwhelmed.
do you know it's free in Germany?
Yeah. My mum's always paid for it, so it's my mum, and that's the other thing. Mum's always been like, I will pay for a therapist. You just tell me if you need, just tell me. So yeah.
So let's go back in time. When is the first time you or your family realized you need help?
I would say, well, when they sent me to the therapist when I was 17, that was because I was lying to my parents a lot. I was also self-harming. They didn't know about that. I used to scratch myself very deeply.
You almost like cutting yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not because itchy.
No, like, because the sensation of pain, just like, it was like when I felt really emotionally overwhelmed, I would hurt myself, and that would release the pain. It would be a physical, it would be like a physical manifestation of the pain I was feeling, and so it would make this overwhelm feel like it had been opened up. It was like a distraction.
Yeah. So it's also like when you are itchy, you use pain to distract you. Similar like that?
I don't know. I think when something's itchy, it's like the skin's irritated, and so you want to do that. It's more like my heart, it was more like
a deeper level.
Yeah, it was more like I can't breathe, so I'm like, I want to open another hole.
Okay.
I've never used that analogy, but yeah. So at that time, I was very angry. I was drinking a lot at parties. I was like my stepdad once found me at a party. Like he came to pick me up, and I had some pretty bad stories as a teenager. But I was drinking very irresponsibly. I was very promiscuous, which is fine, but there was a lot of alcohol involved. And then I was I'd been lying, and I was lying to my parents, and I was actually dating someone who was like 24 years old when I was 15.
That's bad.
Yeah, all these
Were
things
you
are pretty
having
bad.
sex?
I was doing everything, but but like there were parties where I would make out with 5 different girls and 3 different guys, or I would I was not having sex, but like there was one time when my stepdad came to pick me up. He picked me up, and like I couldn't find my skirt, so I had a boyfriend at this point. Short-term boyfriend, but I was wearing my boyfriend's shorts. I was so drunk. I'd been in the garden. We were trying to have sex in the garden along the side of the house. No one could find us anyway. And so I like, someone's like, Anna, your dad's here. And I was like, fuck. And then I threw up in the car, out of the car window the whole way home. And then I got into the shower, and my mum was so worried that I was going to drown in the shower. And she opened the door of the bathroom eventually, and I was like, yeah, I'm coming out. And I was so drunk still that I had, I thought I'd wrapped my jacket around my wet hair because I thought it was a towel. And then I had like I had an STD after that, and I didn't know if I should take the morning after pill. I didn't know if I had I was a mess. I did really well at high school, but I was a mess.
Do you think what's the reason why
all of this?
Yeah.
I think my parents' divorce was really, so my dad, when he was sober for the end of my parents' marriage, and he started drinking when my mum left him, and he was drinking heavily, and my brother as well.
Family.
Yeah, and my brother was also drinking. So my brother was, so my parents separated when I was 10, and so by the time I hit puberty at 13, my dad dated my mum's best friend. I used to hear my dad and my mum's best friend having sex when I was like 11 years old. It was really, my brother made me stay awake to hear it. And that traumatized me really badly, actually. And then my dad dated like some other women, and he was just drinking. He was he was doing really, like, my brother and him would drink so heavily. Then my dad would be driving my brother to school, and the next morning they'd both need to stop and like throw up outside of the car doors, and then like continue to school. And I remember once my dad coming home from work. He'd driven home from work, and he was drunk when he arrived home, and I was like, fuck, he drove home. And my brother was like, Anna, laughing, he's like, you should look in the garage, see what dad did with the car. And I went in, and he had driven the car into the garage so close, like so far in that my bicycle was like squished between the wall and the car.
And it was ruined, the bicycle?
Surprisingly not. Just like really against the wall. It was like... And so, yeah, so definitely like parent, the divorce, my dad drinking, my brother then also started smoking weed. He started performing really badly at school. He was at this like elite school that he had to pass an exam for, you know, it was all of this stuff. So like, yeah, and then hormones with me. Also, when my parents divorced, my brother got a therapist, and I would sit in the waiting room.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't have a like.
Why
I didn't
ask
have
a child to sit in the waiting room?
There was a pool table. That was cool, and they had a hot chocolate and coffee machine. So I would drink hot chocolates and play pool with the other patients waiting to go in. But yeah, so I felt and then like watching your father break down. Like there was the alcoholism, but then I would, you know, I remember finding him crying on the edge of his bed, and like that was like so it was all of that environment. And then like, you know, friendship like all basic shit from whatever, but like really the family stuff. And so really I stopped drinking last year, and I realized that actually in 2 days I will have not had any alcohol for a whole year. And I realized that I haven't not drunk alcohol for that long since I was 14.
How was it hard at the beginning?
No.
You just stopped one day.
I just stopped. I just stopped.
What made you to decide to take a break?
I decided I wanted to stop smoking weed because I was smoking weed pretty much every day from when I arrived in Berlin. Closely, the culture here supports it. A lot of social environments, a lot of work environments. I worked in lots of places where there would just be joints being smoked, and I would work and be stoned, and that was just normal. A lot of my friendship circles, very, very big drug culture here anyway. And weed's just like it's a base layer drug, and everyone, it's encouraged almost. So I decided I wanted to stop weed and see, I was just like, I am dependent on it. As much as it's not an addictive drug, it was really a part of my daily life. And with 2020, I was like, I want to be clear. Then at the start of 2020, in January, one of my ex-boyfriends, who I hadn't seen for 3 years, he committed suicide and he succeeded. I hadn't seen him for 3 years. We'd only had a short relationship, but he was, it really hit me. And he was a big drug taker, and we partied a lot together. And when I got that news, I just went, I want to turn lemons into lemonade. Like, I want to make something good out of his death. Fuck him. Fuck him for all the, because when we were together, when I left him, or when I ended it, he also said, well, he threatened suicide.
How long you were together?
6 weeks.
Oh, 6 weeks suicide.
He practically lived with me though. There was an unstable character, but it was very intense. It was very intense. Like, there was love there. It was like living together. We'd known each other for a little while, but then it was like, whoa, I recognized quite quickly, 6 weeks. It's my usual, how long it takes for me to realize I need to get out of something. And I saw that he was really unstable, and so pulled out. But he still remained in my circles, and he was a big part of one bar in Berlin, and so I just also, when I stopped smoking weed, I noticed that alcohol was having the same effect as kind of weed. It was making me feel less clear, and I didn't like it. And then with that ex's death, I was just like, nope. I already wanted to do no drugs, and it was like, no, I'm stopping it all. So that's why. And then 2 months later, his girlfriend at the time also committed suicide in the same way. Which was, So it was, 2020 was a year where I did a lot of reflection on my relationships. I also wanted clarity for 2020 because I realized a lot of my relationships had been unhealthy.
What do you mean unhealthy?
I would say that good question. Unhealthy, with unhealthy habits. I think with relationships where I ended up feeling not good about myself. Where it wasn't balanced, or I wasn't looked after, or there were also relationships where I didn't look after. But I guess my ex-husband, and then like the relationships in Berlin, they all seemed toxic in this like lots of bad habits involved, and lots of drama, and not a lot of like grounded good communication, supporting, seeing, accepting, and that's what so I wanted to see what it would be like if I removed drugs, and if that would change the kind of people that I'm around.
Will you continue your sobriety?
I will. I think I'm not going to drink anymore.
I think that's a very good idea.
I think drinking, I think I did it really well. Like, I never felt like I had a dependency, but I think it's just so socially encouraged, and a part of every little, like, so many cultures. It's like, oh, it's Christmas, oh, it's New Year's, oh, it's Friday.
Did you also stop smoke tobacco?
Yeah.
Wow, that's you are doing great.
Oh, thank you, Moni. I feel great.
I think stop weed is easy. You just stop, but
it's the tobacco that. Well, the thing is with the weed and the tobacco, you can stop smoking weed. Well, no, you can stop smoking tobacco, but then when you smoke weed, you still kind of miss the tobacco, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe you should try vaporizer.
Yeah, but I also I like eating weed. Like I'll eat a hash cookie.
But it's hard. Like now it's not legalized. The edibles you need to homemade.
Exactly.
But
Always.
you are a good baker, so.
Exactly. Well, I did a lot of baking in Australia, and I still bake, but yeah, baking cookies, and it's a different kind of high, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna have half a cookie, and I'm gonna watch a movie, and yeah.
I really hope one day, hopefully soon, it will be legalized here. Then I can just go to a shop, get a gummy bear.
Yeah, right. But I like cakes and biscuits and things that I'm nom 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 nom. A gummy bear feels like medicine. It's like trying to trick children. It's almost too child friendly.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. So you're still vaporizing?
Yeah, I don't. I have very sensible throat, so I can only use vaporize.
Yeah.
And I don't do tobacco. I think with weed, I have actually a little bit opposite experience. I do. I not quit, like just. Sometimes I'm just in the mindset. I was like, I'm so productive. I'm like so performing. I don't want I don't want distraction, and I stopped quite a few times. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm doing so great. Then, when I start to smoke again, one day I realized, wow, I have so many emotional baggage I haven't processed for 6 months. And now when I smoke weed, I start to realize, oh, I wasn't as healthy as I thought. I was just avoiding lots of things by not looking at them. So for me, weed is very therapeutic.
Yeah.
I learn lots of lessons when I'm on weed, and then I would go to tell my therapist.
That's great. That's great. I think I experienced that a bit when I would smoke weed, but then it just became too much a habit.
Yeah.
And it was just in everything. Like I could always smoke.
It should be something like special, not like every day by default. Yeah.
Exactly. And for me, just the thing of smoking anything, it's too tied to tobacco. So I don't want to smoke anything. But eating a cookie or like, okay, so I'll still do some drugs. But yeah. So like acid on a good day,
Very, very good day.
Very good day, sunshine, music, good friends, and then like ketamine. If I want to have like hanging out with a friend and talking, I feel like alcohol makes you blurry and takes your energy, whereas just a little bit of ketamine, and it's like it makes it interesting. Not like. It gives you a different feeling, but you're still very there. But you can. It's a bit of makes your mind a little bit more playful.
I cannot understand that. I think I'm just not a ketamine person.
I think we should do ketamine together, and maybe we should vape together, and then we can see.
I think so many drugs I've tried. I think weed is really, really my thing.
But I think you go through changes, right? There'll be. You've had your LSD phase. You've had you're in a weed phase. I'm in a ketamine phase. Just a little bit. It's like once a week, It'd be like when I would have beers with a friend. It's like that.
Okay. Now enough of drug talk.
Enough of drugs. Oh my god.
So with your mental health situation, over the years, do you think every time when it happens, is it same reason or similar reason? Have you found out the root cause? Have you really solved something fundamentally?
I think with my mental health, I think it's always it's kind of like there's lots of layers, right? And you're always adding new layers and new experiences. So I think the core problems definitely started with family. They always start with family. And so during that period where my parents got divorced and my dad was drinking and so all of that, I wasn't drinking that early. The drinking came later for me. A bit later, but yeah, I think the divorce my parents divorced, and then my dad moved away. He moved to a different city in my teenage years, and I I experienced that as me not having value. And then continuing on from that, my relationship with my dad, because my dad and I were really close when my parents were together, and then after the divorce, he just distanced, and then he married a woman who didn't like children, and really pushed away from wasn't a stepmom in any way. She's my dad's wife. And so there was a lot of lacking a sense of self-worth and shame as well, and shame around me wanting to be loved.
But this love, does your mother and stepfather give you?
Heaps. And I'm super grateful for my stepdad, for my mum, but my stepfather is an incredible parent, and I'm so grateful to have him there. I love my dad. I don't rate him as a parent. He's a good friend who's my father, who there's a really painful history there. But I think the importance of the father, that person is going to have a huge impact on you if the relationship doesn't go the way that you want it. And so it was a base layer of dad issues. And then I think there's a little bit of inherited stuff from my mum. I think you can inherit trauma, and my mum's pretty fucked up. That generation, I think our parents' generation really fucked up shit went down. And my parent, there's some really messed up stories in my family history that I'm not gonna share, but and I think I inherited a lot of trauma there. Nothing it's not like my mom was giving it to me, just all of her fears and all of her things kind of go in there. And then I think it's just and then I think it's I think those core issues are kind of at the base, and it takes a long time to work through those. So I think all of the then issues that I had in my 20s were still kind of unresolved, different roots coming out of the same seed of a lack of sense of self-worth, and not trusting myself to be me. And so the relationships I ended up in that damaged me more, I needed those because they made me get to the point where I decided to not take drugs anymore, and then really look at everything and go, humans want to see patterns. It's not always helpful, but I think in terms of understanding your damage and understanding how you're acting, and why do I keep meeting these kinds of people? Why are these the relationships I keep having? So I think now where I am is, I'm way more self-aware, and I've really looked at a lot of my trauma, and I really question what I am attracted to in people, whether it's friends or work colleagues or lovers. I'm about to throw up as I say lovers. I'm way more aware of that stuff now. So, I don't know where it takes me, but I think it all comes from one core
And
root.
the core is a lack of self.
Sense, I think the core is it's always those relationship molds that you have with your parents, or the important figures that you had that brought you up. So the relationship dynamic of my dad. So I thought that I had gotten over my dad relationship problem, because I was with these men who Oh, my poor father. Yeah, I was with all of these men who like didn't really challenge me as I needed to be challenged. And then I was with several men that were really abusive and not accepting of me. And then I thought I found like I'd gotten over my lack of self-worth, you know. And but then I realized that the next partner that I had, my long-term Berlin boyfriend, the actual relationship dynamic was very much like my relationship with my father, and that at the start he was really there, and then he just became more and more not there, and not meeting me in the middle, and not being reliable, and me kind of chasing after him. And it was like, what? Like, and I thought that he was a different like a different form, and he was in another way following the pattern of my father relationship dynamic. I was like, fuck. Yes, but the last ones haven't been like that. They've been very short, but they haven't been like that. Yeah.
So with you say yourself low self-esteem, I am quite shocked because you are one of the women, maybe if it's not the woman that I know in real life, who's the most independent and I don't know how to describe it. How independent you are, like how self-confident, and the way you talk, the way you communicate. It's just hard for me to imagine that you have self-worth issue. Do you have issues with friendship when you were young, or like with guys?
Do you mean did I have problems having friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my heart broken the most in friendships when I was in primary school. Like I had a best friend, and then she didn't want to be best friends with me anymore, and then another one like that, and another one like that. And I got to high school, and I was like, I don't believe in best friends. And it was almost like I was like, I'm polyamorous. I don't believe in monogamy. Yeah, I was really damaged by friendships in primary school. And and then in high school I refused best friendship, and then I also refused to be part of one group. So I actually had and I ended up creating this way of like having lots of like being in all the groups, but not really.
So it's a way for you to not get hurt.
A bit, yeah. I did have then I got a best friend in high school, and then she broke my heart, you know. Again, like I just, and I guess that's another contributing factor. But I guess the self-worth issues. I present very confident, and I am like who I am now is very different to who I was in my 20s, or like let's say 4 years ago, like when I was with my husband. I feel like my sense of self-worth has definitely improved in the last 5 years a lot. But I think self-worth issues are often seen manifested in like drug problems. You know, if someone is abusing drugs, and like I wouldn't say that it's that they don't, there's not going like, oh, this is worth more than just drowning it.
Yeah. With your last marriage, I'm quite curious because we know each other for a while, we work together, but when did you get married?
When I was 27, it was in Australia. We met and fell in love instantly. He was married, but in an open relationship. That ended, and he ended up with me, and he needed a visa because he was from Colombia. He's still alive. He's from Colombia.
So how long were you together before you married?
9 months.
And the first few months he was in another marriage?
No, the first day, really. Like, he got divorced right before we got, the divorce process, he separated from his wife basically when we started, which was within a week. And then he organized we organized his divorce and got the papers the morning of our marriage.
Wow, he's really jumping in between marriage.
Well, we only really, like, we were in love, but we got married, and it was a crazy, very intense, very. We only got married really because he needed a visa, and we looked at other options. I was like, we could go to New Zealand, we could go to Canada, we could go to the UK. Maybe we could just immigrate somewhere else, or and I was like, no, we want to stay in Australia because there's things we want to do in Australia. So his visa ran out on a certain day, and so we got married the day before, and then had our honeymoon 5 weeks in Cambodia.
Yeah.
On the phone to his lawyers, trying to get his next visa sorted out. And then his visa wasn't sorted out when we needed to fly back, so I had to leave him in Cambodia, not knowing if he was ever gonna join me. But then it got fixed it all up, which was great because he was a musician, so it was a visa based on him being a musician. So anyway, I sorted out the next visa, which was our marriage visa, and then we were together for we celebrated our 1 year wedding anniversary, and then we were together for another 6 months. And then I left him because it was a very unhealthy relationship. How? He would name call me. He he would call me stupid. He anytime I had a different opinion, he would attack me personally. Couldn't take any feedback if it was hey, there's a hole in the ceiling. Maybe we should do this, and he'd suggest something, and I'd say, oh well, we could do that, but we could also do this and that. He'd be like, why are you changing my idea? Why? No emotional stability, maturity, and violent. He would throw things at me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you let it happen multiple times, or the first time you're like?
Oh, it happened a lot. It happened a lot. The worst was when he threw, he threw a glass and it shot past my head and hit the kitchen wall, and I was like he just fucking missed me, and he was across the kitchen, and it was a full solid glass, big, and smashed on the wall behind me. He smashed his guitar, one of his guitars. We had a coffee table, a glass top, and he kicked it and smashed the glass of that. He made a hole in a wall. I once broke a window in the house, banging on the bathroom door, and it had this glass piece in it. And I was angry, asking him to open the door and hitting the glass, and then my arm smashed through the glass, and I was so angry that I'd broken something, and I walked out crying, and there was this huge piece of glass hanging in my arm. I think I still have the scar somewhere. Yeah. Oh. But anyway, I was also self-harming during that relationship, so I would bang my head against the wall to make myself feel better, or I would scratch myself against bricks. I was still in that self-harm mode.
When the violence first started, did you immediately know this is not okay?
I was he's not hitting me, he's just throwing things. The problem was the relationship I had before that was physically violent. The one I was with a guy for a bit over a year, right before my ex-husband, and he would push me, and then he once this was actually on Dima's podcast. The story came up, I forgot. He strangled me once, but with his foot on my neck.
And did you still break up with him immediately?
No. And this tells you the psychology of the self-worth, lacking the self-worth.
And I don't understand. I grew up without a father, and my mom doesn't have time for me either. I was rejected for most of the guys I liked, but I wouldn't tolerate a guy.
You don't know until you're in the dynamic, and that's the thing with domestic violence. You don't until you're in an environment, in a relationship dynamic where you are in love with that person and they love you, and you've got this whole relationship thing, and then something like that happens. There's something in the brain that tries to excuse it, tries to make sense of it, and I didn't think it was okay. I did not think it was okay. But for example, he would push me and then I would push him back, right? When he had his foot on my throat, I was kicking him back. And this wasn't in like a fucky, like sexy kind of, environment. No, it was a fight. And then, what else? I'm trying to think. Yeah, there was pushing, the throat thing.
Well, this sounds really bad. Do you have a tendency to date people who's really like up and down, like a mood swings,
passionate people, I guess. Like I said it recently, like I'll date someone that I have an interesting dynamic with, and I think I was very unstable, and so I was with very unstable people, and I think I've stabilized a lot, but well, who knows? Like I haven't had long relationships recently because I've realized quite quickly not right for me. But no one that's been. Well, actually, there was one guy that was a bit violent last year. Yeah, there's this thing I think where I'm a strong woman, right? I'm a strong woman in my opinion.
Do you watch South Park?
I do, but I don't know the reference.
Vice principal, strong woman.
No, I don't know.
You watch the last few seasons. It's all about the vice principal, strong woman. Really cool.
Oh, cool! Yeah. I'm gonna check it out.
Very PC.
Oh, I haven't watched Family Guy, South Park in so long. Okay, you've inspired me. But yeah, you say like I find it hard to believe that you have self-confidence or self-worth issues, and the thing is like there's this thing of like now you know a bit of my history and then all of that stuff. Then there's also like I am the strong, confident, seeming, like I know what I know. Like I've had a lot of positive reinforcement in my education. So in like academic world, I'm confident of this, or and I started working at KFC and then always had a part-time job through all of my high school, and then I was working 30 hours a week during university time. So I always got validation of my ability to do things and my value in the workforce. So there's a lot of confidence in me, but then in terms of like the relationship, emotional dynamics, love, that's where the lack of self-worth comes in and poisons things and allows me to be in dynamics that are violent or not respectful.
Do you consider or have you tried to learn a little bit, like maybe read a book or go to some consultant to learn how to manage a healthy relationship?
I've done a lot of reading, yeah, for sure. I think it's understanding what's playing out for you. So I think the core of it is, but there's also like you're gonna fall in love with people that your scars draw you to. So you're gonna make the mistakes that you're gonna make. There's no book that's gonna stop that. There's no reading a book that's gonna fix all of your past core issues to make you go, oh, not that guy. That's it. There's a couple of books that I think are really great that I recommend all women to read. One's called Women Who Run with the Wolves, and that's all about connecting with your wild woman self and understanding the patterns that we play out. So like a strong woman falling in love with a man who then ends up trapping her in like a she's not worth anything or violence or that kind of thing. And so Women Who Run with the Wolves is it goes through different fairy tales or fairy tales from around the world and dissects the like psychotherapeutic, like psychoanalytical, like the archetypes and the messaging from a feminist, like, wild feminine point of view and how you can protect yourself and how you can be you. And that's a great book. And then there's another book, it's a couple, The Heroine's Journey. Because there's a lot also wrapped up in the system of the patriarchy and how we our sense of self-worth and how we, those love relationship dynamics as a woman, super political. Like, it's really not. We're not trained to look after ourselves.
Yeah, that's true.
Really not. So that The Heroine's Journey as well is a great book. And then there's another book called Women and Being Wanted. Women and Being Wanted. Fuck, I think it's called something a bit different, but it's by a Jungian Buddhist psychotherapist. So like my kind of like, she's my woman.
You can write me the name later.
I'll write you the name later. Really great. It's basically the tagline for the book is beyond wanting to be wanted. So understanding like what society teaches you as a woman, and then like, hold on, what? Like, we need to be the subject of our desires, not the object, and how we can overcome all of that. So yeah, I've done a lot of work on that stuff. Yeah, but there's also just like, yeah.
So over the years, through all your like episodes and looking for help, learning, reading, what's the biggest lesson you got out from it?
Biggest lesson I got out of all of my like self-reflection.
Like not self-reflection, also something you learned and helped you to deal with your own mental health. Something anything. Maybe.
Anything.
Yeah.
Okay, I would say the thing is, I'm really strong. I think, and the problem, I don't like talking about it because it feels like I am religious, but I'm not. I think the Buddhist practices of impermanence and interbeing, and what's the other one? Like interbeing, impermanence. There's another element there, but those, being able to reconfigure what your existence is, like re-understand what existence really is, that helped me a lot. But I'd say also, this is a great little thing, journaling is really important, right? But we're often trained to, or told, when you're feeling bad, write down your feelings. That'll help you. Yes, that will help you. But then you have books on books of all of your sad stories. That's not your life. That's just the bad moments. So there was a study that showed that if you write down something, you remember it, like, let's say 10 days longer. So if you write down a positive experience, you remember that positive experience for 10 days more than you would if you didn't write it down. So a big thing that I shifted was in my journaling, I try to actually journal every day. And it's like gratitude journal, sure, but it's more like I want to honestly write out how I'm feeling about the positive things and the negative things. And it doesn't always have to be balanced. It's just write down the positive things, because writing that down is a celebration of your success, of your, and that's just as important as writing down, so that you can create space and like understand your overwhelm and your depression. So writing both of those things down, that was a big, like, that really changed. Meditation, exercise, doing physical exercise.
Yeah, exercise is very overlooked antidepressant.
Oh my god. Well, I have always been very like annoyed at the pressure on women to look a certain way, but I started exercising when I was like 18, just for the mental health benefit, just for that. It was like I saw some kind of like pyramid of health, and it was like your mental health is supported by a body that's healthy.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. I grew up and never exercise. My mom is handicapped. I don't have a dad, so there's no way I do sports. But when I start to get in touch with sports, it's always negative. It's always about, you need to run this fast, otherwise you will fail the exam. Or I'm fat, I want to lose weight.
Exactly.
So for me, exercise is never something really like I have a positive relationship with it.
Yeah.
But since 1 year ago, I start to decide when I do exercise, it's not about my weight. I don't weight myself anymore.
Exactly.
Only do it for the purpose that I feel better.
Yeah, for me, it's always been about like I hated sport at high school. I hated it. I was never picked for the teams. I thought this is a waste of my time. I could be studying. I hate, like, for me, sport had such a negative connotation, such negative associations, and then also with pressure of being a woman and looking a certain way. But I really did it because it was like, okay, this is something that supports my mental health. And actually, in the last 6 months, I've started skipping again because I'd usually get my cardio through sex, or but sobriety means less sex. No, but through sex or like riding my bike, or I don't know, like just working in gastronomy. I was always on my feet. But yeah, I realized I need cardio, and I don't like riding my bike fast and blah blah blah. For safety, skipping, like jumping rope, I love it. And then I've also, when I stopped drugs and alcohol, every morning I do like a workout. I'll do sit-ups and dips and sit-ups, dips, push-ups, and squats, and then I meditate.
Cool.
And that's really like that supports my mental health.
Having a routine is very good.
Yeah, I hate the word routine, so I call it my morning ritual. It's like my self-love. Like if I love I feel so much happier if I've given myself the time to feel my body and then to let my mind rest. Because I'm worth that. Like the job is there, I'll do it, but like first it's me.
When is your first comedy set?
My first set was actually almost exactly 3 years ago. So yeah, it was the 31st of January 2018. It's just a little bit before you. Just a little bit before you.
I really thought you are like much senior than I am. But
it's all that confidence, all right? It's all that fake confidence. No, but I was doing comedy pretty hard from that January start. Well, from February, March, April, May, June. I was doing at least 3 shows a week. Yeah. And then more that summer, and it was that summer that I really went like, this is super important. This is why I'm staying in Berlin. I'm gonna make this. Yeah. And then yeah, you were asking about when it became important, or
when it become important for you. When it's the time for you to realize this is something I really want to do.
Yeah, I went through like a really big breakup 6 months after I started comedy, and I was going to move to London, and then I decided, no, I need to stay in Berlin because this is the place I can practice the most. And but I think, yeah, from the very first set I was like, this is this is what I want to do. But then it took me sort of 6 months to really have the life situation to put it in perspective of, wow, this is important. And then I only really felt confident enough to say, like, this is what I'm doing when I really felt like I'd found my voice. And that was really once I started producing, a little bit before I started producing my own shows, which was at the start, like, you know, May 2019.
Döner Comedy.
Döner, yeah, my first ever production was actually my first adults only comedy special, where I did a 30-minute set. But that was after I'd done a 20-minute set in Hamburg, which was and headlined, and that was only after I'd been doing comedy for just over a year. That was amazing. Great money too. But yeah, so I had my first production I did was a 30-minute set that I shared with Carl Dacker and Carmen Carmen hosted. That was so much fun. And then I started Döner Comedy, and then Glory Hole Comedy at the same time, pretty much. Yeah. And
is it the same time you start to think, oh, I want to do this professionally?
Yeah, I think from the very first set, I was like, if I could.
So the very first time you were like, bye music career.
Yeah, and that boyfriend that I was with was like, oh, comedy's just a side thing. Comedy's going to give you the confidence to really become a good musician. he still didn't believe in the comedy thing.
Uh-huh.
But I've always wanted to keep making music, and I'm still gonna make music. Like music's a very different thing, but yeah, but I didn't feel comfortable calling myself a comedian until I was producing shows. Really, until I got booked for shows, and then it was like, okay, I'm being booked, I'm being paid. Now I'm a comedian. And, yeah.
But when it started, you are getting paid.
It started, when was my first paid? I think my first paid show was like January 2019.
So it took 1 year.
Yeah, but I was already co-hosting shows. So I was getting money. Like, I got opportunities to co-host like Laughing Spree and Monday Night Mics and Joke Time and like Tobias's show. And yeah, and I got quite a few of those opportunities, which was cool. And then it was like, all right. And then I got booked for a couple of things, and then
cool.
Did my own thing.
And did your own thing.
Did your own thing.
Yeah.
And so you knew you wanted to be full-time comedy.
I think the first set I did already make me feel this is life-changing.
Yeah.
Because I grew up low self-esteem. No one loved me. I never had attention. I was told many times explicitly that I am not special. So the first night on the stage, the kind of attention and I got addicted. I got hooked, and I feel, oh, I am special. I am talented. I am creative.
Yeah.
And also I think it's kind of like, suddenly for me it suddenly makes sense, because I always like to tell stories, and I like to exaggerate things, and the people around me always get mad. They say like I exaggerate, I lie, but now I realize I was practicing my set.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what it is, but I like to do it again and again and again.
Yeah.
And then I was, I didn't know this kind of art form exists, but I was doing the same thing in my mind already. Yeah. And I just loved it, and it's better than anything. Like the laughs and the it's great.
Oh man, having a happy audience is so nice.
Yeah. And I always feel I'm like I'm not pretty, I'm not this, I'm not that, but with comedy it all changed, and the self-esteem just grow and grow and grow and grow, and I really can, comedy really transformed me.
Yeah.
But I would say I had some time I was saying, I want to do comedy full-timely, but it's more about an escape from my real life. I don't want to do it professional.
Real life.
Yeah, like I don't, my how to say, I had some issue with my job at that time, and I was like, if I get famous, then whatever. But it was not like I was thinking like overnight fame. So I don't need
that
to...
doesn't exist. Well, in the German scene that exists. Not quite, but a little bit.
Well, so it's not like it's like more like a dream, like more like, if that happens, if
someone finds me, they discover me,
Yeah.
and then I'll be rich and famous.
It's more like, what if I get win the lottery? Similar kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But it's not like a real plan about how to reach there. And I think this time around 6 months ago, I start to really have a feeling like I want to do it professionally, and how I'm going to reach there, get better. And also it's the same time I produced my first show with you. Yeah, it's a mental health specialized show. And around that time I start to build a community around me, and I start to be able to have friends. Since I start to have this community, like around 6 months ago, I just feel this changed everything, because it's the first time I love to do something, and I feel safe and feel supported.
Yeah.
And also it's an art form. You cannot be fake. You have to be the true you. So it's so therapeutic, and all the things I was shamed in my past, now it's all the gold mine for me to dig, for me to process and present for the audience. So I just think now it all makes sense.
Yeah, totally. For me, like in all my life, I never felt like I had my own community. Like I never felt like all these people get me. No, I was like too loud, or you would be telling your stories. I say outrageous things. Like I'll say the most disgusting and ridiculous thing. Like that's my kind of humor as well, and that doesn't work in every environment. Like I'm quite extreme in those things, and
but now it's an environment. It's good
now. Like all and people, my comedian community, understands, respects, and there's love there, and there's mutual love. Like comedians are my favorite people. Like they're insane and always looking for the joke, and always, our minds work in the same way. We're looking for the same things.
Yes, thanks God there's comedy.
Thank you.
Comedy God, thank you.
He's just like masturbating and jizzing on our faces.
Why is not a good girl?
I'm sorry, I'm sexist. Okay, she's masturbating too, and she's squirting on our faces.
Maybe it's non-binary.
Exactly. I think this God has like all of the things.
Yeah.
Like booby, like lots of boobs, penises, holes, butt. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Comedy God.
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
So this is my favorite question.
Ooh.
What's your favorite comedy special?
My favorite comedy special. Okay, we can cut my thinking time later. My favorite comedy special. Fuck. What's yours?
I think there's a few I really like. What's his name? Rick Reynolds. He has one called Owning the Truth. It's funny. So it's like a one-man show. He talks about his journey, how he was brought up, and how he started to do comedy, his depression, his self-esteem issue, and it's everything. He said at one point in his comedy life, he realized he lies all the time. And so one day he decided he will write a show with everything is truth. And there's tears, there's laughter, and it's so intimacy. And he also, it's a little bit like a theater performance. Only him being there, I really like it, because it's very emotional and very truthful. I really like Three Mics too.
Yeah.
By Neil Brennan.
Yeah.
I think I'm just really drawn by mental health related comedies.
Yeah.
And I think eventually.
Did you see Nanette? Nanette?
No.
That's the one by the Australian comedian. She's the lesbian. Her name is Hannah Gadsby, and she talks about mental health a bit.
I heard lots of people recommend her, say she's like great comedian, but I tried to watch her 3 times. Every time after like 20 minutes, I was like, I cannot tolerate it.
That's fair enough.
It's not my style.
I like it, but it's not like my favorite. I think she's really enjoyable. She's got some really great insight, but she's not one of my I like her, but then I would say one of my favorite specials is Sincerely Louis, which is Louis C.K.'s most recent special. I am a massive fan of Louis C.K.
How do you have the courage to say it with the current climate?
I have a camera between me and all those people. I'm becoming more and more comfortable expressing my opinions because I'm less and less interested in maintaining friendships with people that don't like me because of an opinion that I have. So my take on Louis is that I think the way he dealt with his absolute abuse of power and like terrible behavior, I think he dealt with it really well. He acknowledged, he apologized, he faced serious consequences, and then in this special, he talks about it, and the way he jokes about it, oh my goodness, it's brilliant.
Did he really apologize?
He apologized right when all the accusations came out. He said, I did it and it was wrong and it was an abuse of power and I shouldn't, and he apologized. There are so many people that were accused in the Me Too movement that didn't even acknowledge, let alone apologize, let alone show any insight into the you know, how it affected people and his abuse of power.
And also his abusive behavior stopped like 10 years before this was uncovered.
Yeah, I don't even know those details, but yeah, like it's, you know, I think continuing to cancel him is not fair.
Yeah.
And
I really,
it's a personal choice though. If that really bothers you, like for example, for me, I like Michael Jackson, for example. I can't listen. I really find it hard to listen to Michael Jackson now. I really struggle with it. Like, for example, I worked at a kindergarten for the last 2 years, and often in the kitchen radio, Michael Jackson would come on, and I was at a kindergarten, and I can't. Jackson 5 stuff, when Michael Jackson was still a child, I can listen to that stuff, but I don't know, for me, it was like, and it's not even clear that he, you know, it's not even official that he did anything, but for me, it's so damaged that I can't enjoy listening to Michael Jackson anymore. And so for some people, if that's what it's like for you with Louis C.K., I'm not going to argue with that. Of course not. That's your experience.
But I think for lots of people, they don't allow you to watch it either. I think we, in the comedy community, we had a big argument around it. And at the end, I think on Netflix, there's a comedian summarized it where, what's her name? This one at the Degenerates at the end,
are you talking about
the female comedian?
the one that I said I loved? Yeah. Her name is, I've got it written down. Let me just quickly get it, because I write down some notes of comedians' jokes who are perfect. Adrienne Elapoulos.
Yeah, she has such great joke writing skill.
She's a good friend of Louis.
Oh,
did you know that?
I didn't know.
Yeah.
But she has one sentence. She said, with the Me Too movement, maybe we just should say there's differences between it, just like murders. Like even murders, there's a different sentence. There's like murders is like they had fun doing it, and there's oopsie murders, who is like, I murdered, but I'm sorry. This difference between it and with Me Too movement, if it's rape, send them to prison. But if they just showed their dick to someone, maybe just forbidden them to be in kindergarten or taking Uber pool.
Uber pool. Yeah, exactly. It's like you can't compare Bill Cosby and Louis C.K. Like fuck off. Like that's not, you know.
Yeah.
And then in terms of what, it's just a totally different thing. But again, people will have their opinions, and that's okay. They just shouldn't pressure other people to hold that opinion as well. And I love, like, sincerely Louis, the way he deals with what he did and what he got, and then his joke writing and how in that special he pushes every topic that's taboo, that's politically incorrect, and he so well. I also love Ali Wong. Is her second one Hard Knock Wife? That one, I think that's her first one actually. The second one is Baby Cobra. Her delivery and her joke writing is so solid, and her perspective as a woman and the way she talks about childbirth, just like that special.
The second
Perfect.
special, you really can see she grew up as a person compared with the first special. Like the first special, she's like being making fun of all those like feminism stuff, and the second special, he's like, oh, that's why we need those.
Yeah. She's really. I do think that Hard Knock Wife is also really great, but yeah, Baby Cobra I thought was. Yeah, like I've watched that a number of times. I watched Sincerely Louis a number of times. And then other specials that there. I really enjoyed. I only just recently watched it. Michael Shea Matters. Super. I think his joke writing and delivery is mwah. Like he pushes on things where it's like, oh, are you homophobic? And no, but like he's so authentic. Such great joke writing, such great insight, such a good unique perspective, rhythm, everything.
Cool. Thank you for all the recommendations. I'm going to check out those things I haven't watched.
Good. I'll check out your ones too. You need to write them down for me.
Okay, cool. So that's today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it with all the drug talk and the sex talk and the comedy talk.
There was not enough sex talk.
Yeah, because I don't have sex.
Yeah. We just talked about my 16-year-old. Yeah, misdemeanors.
Cool. Let's say goodbye.
Yes. Do I plug something or no?
Do it.
I'm going to plug something. Okay, I've already mentioned Adults Only Comedy Berlin, my podcast. And then there's that as the show, Adults Only Comedy Open Mic. There's Glory Hole Comedy. There's Punch Up Comedy. There's Hairy Bitches. And Grindhouse Comedy. These are all the shows that I produce. My Instagram is AF Beros. Also on TikTok. Anna Beros on YouTube. And on Facebook. Cool. Thank you so much, Moni. It's been so much fun.
Thank you for audience. I hope you guys stay healthy and stay alive. Bye bye. Don't kill yourself. Bye bye.